It's time for another palette ranking video. I am going to be ranking my newest palettes to my collection from least favorite to most favorite. I've got 9 palettes to talk about. Welcome if you are new here, my name is Rachel, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. Let's get to ranking these palettes, and I'm gonna give you my final thoughts after having tested these palettes for quite a while. Basically, how this works is I am just ranking these on my own preference, my own opinions. If our opinions or preferences differ, great. I'm sure they do. We're different people. And that is totally okay. I do really base the ranking on formula, color story, my level of excitement, how often I want to reach for the palette. So with all that being said, I do want to hear from you in the comments while I'm going through these, letting me know your thoughts. Do you agree with my rankings? Do you disagree with my rankings? Let me know. And I am going to link all of these palettes down below in the description box as well. So, coming in at number 9, I have the Ace Beauté Floral Collection. For me, these really didn't work out, and I'm so sad because I was so excited to have these palettes. I did buy these with my own money. They are absolutely beautiful. The whole idea of the collection is beautiful. So we have Flora, which is like a warm tone neutral with some pops of yellow. We have Begonia, and I love how they have like the dried flowers, like actual dried flowers in there. Well, they might be fake. I'm sure they're fake. And this one is beautiful, like half green, half purple. We have a true neutral palette, which I thought was really pretty, which is called Calla, and then Floor is the purple palette. I did bring all 4 of these on my honeymoon. These, and then I brought a Natasha Denona Mini Nude, which is what I wore on my wedding day exclusively. That's the only eyeshadow palettes that I brought. And I was kind of upset that I did because the matte shades in these palettes, I don't know what it was. I could not get them to work on me. I don't know if it's the pan size, which also the pan size kind of bothers me, which never happens. Like I usually don't care about the pan shape or anything, but I had a hard time getting my brush in there, and I don't know if it's because of the pan shape. With my palettes at least, these matte shadows are pressed so hard in the pan. I really had a hard time picking them up, and then I had a really hard time layering them, like going from light to deep, which is what I prefer. Like, it's fine, I can go deep to light, but I want to do my makeup how I want to do my makeup sometimes, and I could not get the dark shades to layer on top, no matter what I did in all of the palettes. I will say the shimmers in these palettes are very pretty. They're very sparkly, really, really foiled, really stunning. Like, look at that silver, that is something. I'm kind of bummed because, first of all, there's 4 of them that I bought, and I feel like I'm the only person that's saying this. I haven't heard anybody else talk about that with their experience with the palettes. If you have these palettes, let me know your thoughts on them. But for me, the matte shadows just did not work out. So from here on out, I really don't have any complaints on formulas. I think all of these palettes are really good. It's just a matter of which one I like more than the next, obviously. But there's nothing wrong with any of these palettes, and honestly, apart from like the top 2, all of these really could be shifted around depending on the day, depending on which way the wind is blowing. You know what I'm saying? So take this with a grain of salt. I'm more just giving you little speed reviews on my thoughts of these palettes. So coming in at number 8, I have the Wicked Widow Beauty Tea Time palette. I think this is so adorable. I love the size. Like, it's itty bitty. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. And it is Alice in Wonderland inspired. We've got the teacups and the bunny on the front. And then on the inside, this is the color story. Can I flip this around? Yes. This is a beautiful springtime color story. I think the formula of these shadows, both the mattes and metallics, are very good. Particularly the metallics in this are so beautiful, extremely impactful, extremely foiled. They're not barely there, they're there. I love that you have a very, very light metallic for the inner corner. My only problem with this is the color story. I won't really reach for this on its own very often. I don't really find it's easy for me to make complete looks with this color story personally. Also, 2 of the shimmers are very dark, which I don't usually prefer, especially when there's no dark mattes to like deepen it up. So that's the only reason. But other than that, the formula is great. I love that it's a small little compact palette. I did receive this one in PR, by the way. Coming in at number 7 is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. And this is the ColourPop The Mandalorian palette. This is not a new palette, obviously. But I have a drawer full of palettes that I've bought over the years that I haven't used yet. So I'm trying to like slowly incorporate them when I can, and I will stick them in the ranking because listen, you may have been thinking about buying this palette for a couple years, however long ago it came out, and you may want to know my thoughts. So first of all, packaging, love, 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 love. I love that it has this metallic detail to it, a little bit raised. And then on the inside, I love that we have the child here. He is so freaking cute. Wherever he goes, I go, is what it says. So I love the packaging on all of their Star Wars palettes. They do a really good job. And then on the inside, we have a mostly cool toned neutral palette, which I love. I love a neutral palette. If I'm gonna have a super colorful palette and a neutral palette, the neutral palette is probably what I'm gonna reach for more overall. Although I do like playing in color as well. So I like the color story of this. I think it's really, really cute. Are you gonna get a huge variety of looks? No, but they're good. I like that the mattes are varying in depth. You have a couple of transition shades, at least for my skin tone, and then you have 2 mid-tones and a deepening up shade. I think the matte shadows in this perform great. I have no issues at all. The shimmers in this are okay. This silver is very pretty. These 3 shimmers are just okay. They're not super special. They're not ultra sparkly, but it's a nice neutral palette. I really don't have anything bad to say besides the 3 shimmers in the middle aren't the most wonderful shimmers, but again, it's a very affordable palette. I think if you like that type of shimmer where it's there, but it's not overly sparkly, you would enjoy this one if you like the color story. I am wearing the shade Plan of 2, the duochrome on my lid, and it is our usual blue to brown duochrome that you see in a lot of palettes, especially ColourPop, and it's there. You can see the shift slightly. If you really like, you know, indie singles or something, this isn't gonna do it for you, but I like it. I like it, I enjoy it. I'm glad to have it in my collection. Coming in at number 6, I have another neutral palette, and this one is the Amore in Amalfi palette from BH Cosmetics. So I think I got this at TJ Maxx or Marshalls for a very affordable price. It is obviously a slightly larger palette, and I like this one more because it's a warm tone neutral palette. If I have to choose between a cool tone neutral palette and a warm tone neutral palette, I'm gonna choose a warm tone. And I think this quality is very good. BH Cosmetics has amazing quality shadows. When they get it right, they get it right. You know what I'm saying? Especially for the price, but not even just for the price, just in general. The quality of the mattes in this are very buttery, very blendable, but they're pigmented. They show up like they do in the pan. And the shimmers in this are really pretty. That more traditional metallic where it's shiny, definitely more impactful than the ColourPop, but they're not ultra sparkly or anything. But I think for a neutral palette, this does the job very well. I actually recreated my makeup look. I can link that video down below. And I used this palette, but on my wedding day, I used the Natasha Denona Mini Nude, and the looks were very similar. The Mini Nude is a little bit, I think a little bit more something something to it, a little je ne sais quoi. But I think that if you're on a budget, or even if you're not on a budget and you're looking for a good neutral palette, this one is beautiful. It's great. I'm really happy to have this one because it's a beautiful neutral palette. Coming in at number 5, I have the Unearthly Cosmetics Dead of Night palette. So I will say the quality of this is so good. This is one of their reformulated palettes that they're starting to release now. And talking to Amanda, who is the owner of Unearthly, she said that the ingredients are the same, but the formulation is different. And I think with these shimmers, you can definitely see and feel the difference. They're ultra creamy. In their past palettes, their shimmers have been super hard pressed in the pan, but these ones are a lot easier to pick up. The looks I've gotten from this are amazing. The only reason I'm putting this here, maybe not towards the top, is I just like the other things a little bit more in terms of color story. I love purples and I love greens, but I'm not really a huge fan of blues. They're just not my favorite colors to wear. But when I do want to reach for purple, blue, green, this is an amazing, amazing option. These tones are ultra saturated. If you are looking for a deep, smoky blue, green, purple palette, this is a great one. And the shimmers in this are a little bit on the darker side, which isn't like my ultimate favorite thing, but I will say the quality is 10 out of 10 on this. If you've been thinking about it and you like the color story, I say go for it if you like what I just said. I do have a code with Unearthly, by the way. I did purchase this myself. The code is Rachel if you are interested in using it to save 10% off, and it is affiliated, so thank you so much if you do use my code. But yeah, Unearthly has been killing it. You're gonna see their palettes coming up here towards the top. All right, coming in at number 4, I have the Simply Posh Citrus Punch palette. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Color story on this one, I think is amazing. I love warm tones. I love these bright oranges, yellow, purples. I love greens. The color story on this is so, so good. I love Simply Posh's formula. I think their mattes are really easy to use, really good for beginners. They're not like over the top pigmented, and their shimmers are really pretty. They're all duochromes. I did receive this in PR, by the way, and I do have a code with the brand. It is just Rachel again, and it is affiliated. I've really enjoyed my time with this palette. There's nothing really major I have to say for a critique. There are just things I like more that I've been reaching for a little more, but overall, this is a great palette. Like I said, the mattes are good. I think some of these mattes are a little less pigmented than others. Some of them you have to build up, which some people prefer that formula. And then the shimmers, like I said, they're all that duochrome shifting shadow. They all are very sparkly and they're really pretty. They are really all on the very light side, and some of them almost have like a translucent base to them. So if that's your thing, you would really enjoy this palette. But this is a very summery palette to me. I've really been enjoying it, and I really like Simply Posh's formula. Coming in at number 3, I have the Unearthly Cosmetics and Heather Austin Resurgence palette. This whole collection was phenomenal. And I did do a speed reviews, by the way. I do a speed reviews of everything else except eyeshadow palettes that I've been testing. I did just post that not too long ago. I will link it down below. And I did review the other things in the collection. There was a highlighter duo and a lip gloss. Both, honestly, I've been reaching for a lot. And this palette, I've been having so much fun, particularly using it as a companion palette. Just dipping into this and pairing it with some other Unearthly palettes. I've really been enjoying using it that way. I love that you've got a lot of bright colors in here, but you can also deepen it up. And honestly, my favorite shade in this palette is the shade Life, which is a satin white to pink. It is so unique, and I'm so glad that she put this in the palette. It really makes it versatile. You can put it on the lid, you can put it in the inner corner, you can mix it with the shimmer, you can mix it with the matte, and it is a really transformative shade. I think it's genius. And I really wish a lot more palettes had a shade like this in it to be able to manipulate whatever it is that you want to change. I love the shade. I love the shade. I just love the tones that she picked out. It's very Unearthly, it's very Heather, and a lot of thought and care went into this, you can tell. Fully been enjoying using this palette a whole lot. I did receive this one in PR as well. Okay, we're in the top 2. So coming in at number 2, I have the Unearthly Cosmetics Don't Be Jelly palette. The mattes and the shimmers are incredible. Incredible. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a blue girl, but I did create a look yesterday that honestly, I really, really loved using this blue. And looking at this palette, looking at the mattes that are here, I remember thinking like, I don't know how well they're all gonna go together, but they go together so well. I am able to create cohesive looks. Again, I think because there is contrast. We have a super light shade. We have 2 more mid-tones, one that's like kind of a bright shade and then a deepening shade. And I know of all the shades in here, my favorite is so random, the shade Coral. I don't know what it is. It is just the most unique coral, but like a burnt coral shade. It is so beautiful. And the shimmers in this are so, so gorgeous, especially the 2 multichromes, Luminescence and Hydrospace. I'm gonna swatch them for you. Do you see that? Oh my goodness. I appreciate having multichromes in palettes because I'm not one to reach for a single shadow. I'm just not. I'm not gonna do it. I won't think of it. So for it to be in the palette like this, I'm here for it. I just think this is such a fun, bright color story, but you've also got some deeper tones to ground it. You've got a couple of neutrals. Beautiful palette. Absolutely beautiful. And then coming in at number 1, can I get a drum roll, please? I knew this was gonna be my number 1. As soon as I opened it up and looked at it, it's me. It's just me in a palette. This is the Nomad Okavango Safari palette. Everything from the packaging, it literally feels like I'm, not that you can feel my chair, but they feel the same. It is a faux suede detail on the outside, which is so, like, they think of everything, Nomad. They think of everything. They are a destination-based indie brand. They make palettes based on destinations around the world. And this one is based on the Okavango Delta in Botswana. Would you look at it?
Would you just look at it?
We've got warm tone neutrals, we've got more cool tone / neutral neutrals, and then we have a row of greens. Do I need to say more? The mattes in this, I have absolutely no issue with. They're the good Nomad quality where they are easy to use, blendable. They show up true to pan. They're gorgeous. I love the embossings on the pan. I love the size of the palette. I like that they have a couple of shimmers that have details that reflect the animals. And I love the shimmers. I think they're really pretty. They are not like overly foiled, but they are that good traditional, flattering, yet sparkly metallic. They're opaque, and they're just really, really beautiful. They're creamy, and I have no problems with this palette. I know some people have had problems, I guess. I've seen a couple here and there, but I have no problems with this. The color story to me is beautiful. It's something I'm gonna reach for. It's something that gets me excited and inspired, and I just love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I did receive this one in PR, but I absolutely would have purchased it myself because I just love the brand and I want everything that they come out with. Loving this palette. All right, and that is it for this palette ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on any of these palettes that I talked about today, or what are some of your favorite palettes that you've picked up recently. I would love to know because I love hearing from you. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.